Hello, and welcome to The Real Deal, your source for spoiler free movie reviews. I'm Nathaniel Ahart.
I'm Alex Kent.
And I'm Jacob Towell.
Now, before we get into our review of Godzilla vs. Kong today, let's take a look at some recent developments within the world of movie news. First topic, we will discuss the new Black Widow trailer. Now, are you guys excited to see this movie, and what did you think of the new trailer?
The big thing with me, I'm not going to spoil the last two Avengers movies, but what they did with Black Widow, it's sort of difficult for me to understand what this movie is going to go towards. But it looks good. Scarlett Johansson's always a great actress. Her 2 Oscar nominations last year. I mean, this is Marvel, so it's not the same level always, but still have high hopes, and it's been delayed a few times, so still just something we've been waiting for, and we're finally getting it. So I'm going to see it. My hopes aren't amazingly high, but still, it's a Marvel movie, and the universe is something I've always loved. So,
Sure.
I'm not as excited as for it as you are. I don't think because of what happened in Endgame, I don't really even care anymore about this character. I feel like this movie should have came out a long time ago because she's been an essential character in this universe. But the new trailer, it looks like it has like Winter Soldier vibes, which I like because that's probably my favorite Marvel movie. And Taskmaster is a great villain from the comics, so I'm excited to see him. But I mean, yeah, the timing of this, it just feels off. I don't think I care anymore.
one thing I want to add in real fast: they should have made Iron Man 2. Like I was talking to my friend the other day. What if they just named that movie Black Widow and then Iron Man's in there? Honestly,
Right.
that's part of that movie. So yeah, it's a little late for her.
Maybe besides the objectification. I'm excited to see it just because this is the first Marvel movie we're getting back, and after the pandemic,
Well, yeah,
all
there's
that stuff. But yeah, I think the time is a little less than opportune. It seems like Black Widow had that moment in the spotlight, and they really missed their chance to jump on that. And I still think there's promise to it, but then again, who knows for certain. But it will be nice to see a Marvel movie on the big screen again, and I think that's probably the biggest.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Efforts, but to see it on the big screen again, it's always fun seeing Marvel stuff.
Yep.
Theaters. So.
Absolutely. But in other news, there was another highly anticipated trailer that dropped, and that's for Space Jam: New Legacy, the follow-up to the 1996 film, the immensely popular 1996 film with the same name. What do you guys feel about this trailer?
Having seen the first one, and it's one of my favorite films from when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think that it's great they're introducing Space Jam to a new generation with LeBron James, who's been one of the best basketball players ever for the last 15 to 20 years. But it's weird. The trailer reveals this. They're doing a multiverse of different stuff, and even a Clockwork Orange. Jake, you revealed this to me. I'm like, why? That's one of those
it's an intellectual property cluster. I don't know what's going. It's like it's kind of like Ready Player One. Like they got Iron Giant. They got pretty much every Warner Brothers character they could possibly think of, including it was weird. You got Clockwork Orange characters, which are definitely not okay for a kids movie like this. When you're already throwing out random animated characters that have been canceled, it's weird that Clockwork Orange is front and center as they're playing the main game. And Space Jam is one of my favorite movies as a kid of all time, definitely. And this, it could be good. It could be good. But I don't think it's ever going to be as good as the first one. I don't see that ever happening.
It's tough. And I was even looking at some of the director's other movies. And I think I would have to look again, but I think he did a remake. I would have to look. But either way, his filmography, it's whatever. But to me, LeBron James, Michael Jordan is the true GOAT. We'll get into that argument if it was a sports show, but LeBron is a good actor. He was good in Trainwreck, so I have high hopes for him to actually at least make the movie passable. So.
Yeah, LeBron's the GOAT. LeBron's the GOAT.
I think for me, I watched it when I was a kid, obviously. But I think it looks really dumb, honestly.
It does look stupid, but Space Jam 1 was stupid too.
Well, sure. I'm not going to say
but this
that
looks extra stupid.
Yeah, and I think another part of it too is just you made the Ready Player One comparison. I was like, oh my!
It looks like Ready Player One.
Like as soon as the Iron Giant showed up in the trailer, and then the Flintstones, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, this is just
Scooby
absolutely
Doo too.
bonkers.
Scooby Doo's gonna be
Like,
solving a mystery on the
everybody.
basketball court. What's going on?
Yeah, with the Night King from Game of Thrones, nothing makes any sense. I don't know what's going on.
Why are they doing all of this
I mean,
in?
because it takes place in the on the internet or in like the Warner Brothers servers or something. Like that's where the game is taking place. It's not taking place in space anymore or in the Looney Tunes land. It's like online in a streaming service that Don Cheadle controls. That's gonna be funny. It's definitely gonna be funny. And I don't know if all of those like random characters popping up is gonna take front stage of this movie. I don't think it really will, honestly. But
Sure.
weird trailer. Weird trailer.
I guess we'll just have to see how the quality of the film plays out. But when we come back from the break, we will finally be getting into our review of Godzilla vs. Kong. So stay tuned.
Got your personal references, high school diploma or equivalent?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
It's right there.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Hello and welcome back to The Real Deal. Today, we will be reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong, the long-awaited follow-up to 2019's Godzilla King of Monsters and 2017's Kong Skull Island, which dropped in theaters and on HBO Max last Wednesday. People have been wanting to see these two duke it out on a budget like this for quite some time now. So, do you guys think they delivered on that?
I mean, I feel like, well, Jacob's very straightforward. No, he didn't. For me, I feel like the movie itself is not great, but if you just want to see two big things fight and just hammer one another in the face, then you're going to get what you want. You just need to know what you're getting into when you see this movie. It's not, I hate to sound like Scorsese, but it's not a work of art in the sense of like, there's like great writing and all that stuff. It's just two big computer-generated monsters fighting. That's all it is, the ending. That's why you go. That's why you go.
But that's all it should have been. It wasn't enough of two computer-generated monsters fighting. It was like half an hour of it, and then an hour and a half of really dumb humans. Like the dumbest humans I've ever seen written into a movie. Yeah.
Well, we'll get into the cast a little bit later, but I do agree because I understand why they did what they did, why they set out this movie. Because obviously, like, it's, you know, they you know what you're going in for, but and then the fact that they choose to include these characters and you can hardly latch on to any of them, it's like, why?
And their motives are so dumb.
Yeah, and like, I don't really care about the action.
I mean, we were just talking earlier, the three of us, if we had to name like the names of the characters within the movie, that's difficult for us, and that says something.
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember until Alex reminded me of one character. It was Millie Bobby Brown's character. I couldn't tell you. You've got Kyle Chandler, you've got Millie Bobby Brown, and yeah, that's all I got. And Skarsgård. That's all I know.
No, and I think that brings up a really good point, because it's just, you know, Godzilla and Kong. That's what's marketed. And
you just said it right. Those two names alone and a movie together, just like Batman vs Superman, the two cultural icons fighting it out. That's enough for a movie to make millions, even billions.
Yeah.
Just worldwide, just from those two alone. The movie can be the worst thing ever. And I'm not saying this was the worst thing ever, but those two names are going to make a lot of money through toys, other forms of media, whatever. They sell. The names sell. So.
And I, without spoiling it, of course, because that's not our bag here. Sure. I think that it does remind me of Batman versus Superman in some way, surprisingly.
The plot is almost exactly the same. But the plot is almost exactly the same.
Well, let's not divulge.
There are similarities.
There's similarity.
You know, there's nobody kidnapping Godzilla's mom or anything.
But yeah, I think the one thing that we can agree on is the work done in portraying Godzilla and King Kong in such a visually realistic way.
Yeah.
The most impressive part of the movie.
I mean, I would agree with you there, just because when you're making monsters that, I mean, Godzilla and King Kong aren't real. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but they're fictional beings, and the fact that they were so
what?
In 1933,
oh my god!
Sorry for saying that. Sorry, it was the biggest.
Is Santa Claus real?
What I was saying though, I mean, King Kong in 33 and Godzilla in the mid-50s, what they did with like real effects and like men in costumes is great. But now we have all this technology, and the fact that it was used so realistically, the eyes of Godzilla were terrifying. Kong's emotional, whatever, facial reactions were incredible. I mean, that is easily the best part of the movie, other than them fighting. The actual like fear of these two monsters. It was really realistic looking. That's really the biggest thing I took out of it. So.
And there were a couple of moments of brilliant sound design. So don't be surprised if this gets nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound next year, because I really think there were some glimpses of really great work. And I also think like some of the best scenes too is like when Kong is like ripping open these animals and you just feel the guts spill out, and it's just so visceral.
Yeah, he was showcasing his dominance, and they got that down really well.
It was, oh man, I don't know about you, Jacob.
I know, I've always liked Godzilla's sound, the sound design in Godzilla movies. Those have been great. Godzilla's sound and his theme I've always liked a lot. But yeah, the sound design was good, but the other stuff was just so bad that it wasn't standing out to me.
That's a fair argument. I mean, the sound of Godzilla, going back 1 second, like that roar.
Yeah.
And then the blue fire too. I think, is that the first time they done that, or this whole?
No, they did it in the second one. They did it in the second one. That's where they established that.
The blue fire. I actually really like that. Like I've seen the original.
It was awesome. That charge up sound is sick.
It's really good though. I mean, just in regards, I mean, the monsters should be the highlight of the movie. Unfortunately, there are humans thrown in that we'll get into.
Yeah.
But just regarding the monsters, amazing stuff there.
Yeah.
That's the part.
But, well, don't go anywhere, folks, because when we get back from the break, we will be talking about what may or may not be the least important part of the movie, the cast and the script. See you in a few.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow. I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to The Real Deal, here with our review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, Godzilla vs. Kong had quite a cast of recognizable actors, but do they contribute much to the film? What do you guys think?
I mean, the name value is there. There's a lot of A-listers, as we've stated before. But, I mean, it's not really their fault. The script doesn't really give them a lot of, and we'll go into the script too soon, but they don't really have a lot of room to really do anything. They're just sort of there to allow the story to move, for the monsters to fight. It's just sort of stereotype after stereotype. Some subplots don't really mean a lot. And even for me, Millie Bobby Brown's great in Stranger Things, but in this movie, she's just annoying. And I know Jacob has some thoughts on that as well. But like to me, subplot with the two other, the teenager from Deadpool 2 and what's the other guy's name again?
Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah. Them three, that subplot was ridiculous.
Yeah, that subplot specifically, which they spent so much time on, I wanted to just stop the movie whenever it was happening because it was so dumb. I mean, these two kids and this random podcaster were walking into like every secure building on the planet with like they just walked through the front door seemingly, like and it ends up in a part where they just they look around in they're in a glass room. Like they pop out of a floor and they're looking around in a glass room and they decide like there's people walking around everywhere and they're trying not to get caught. They just walk into this glass room and they're seen by everyone. They're not thinking. They're not thinking. Like there's one part where they walk into like a giant coliseum for sacrifices and they're like, wow, this looks like somewhere we shouldn't be. But they don't move. They don't leave. They stay there.
That whole subplot just needed to be eliminated. Yeah. I mean, there's one thing, without spoilers, we're a spoiler-free show, but the only use, they have one use in the movie, and it's even stupider than what we've been saying before, so.
Yeah, but I will say one standout was one of the more unknown actors in the cast, and I thought that was Kaylee Hoddle as the deaf girl, who kind of has this relationship with Kong, and while I think the logistics of it were absolutely skewed in the worst way possible, I think the emotional crux of that relationship, I think it was fairly felt, all things for what you can feel in this movie.
That was the emotional crux that they were going for, the fact that Kong and a little girl would interact. And I get what they were going for, and there's, use for it in the story as well, but it's a little ridiculous. But she was really good. She actually made it believable that Kong, she had to interact with a computer generated, whatever Kong was used as, or motion capture, someone in a suit. And she made it really believable that this giant ape was real. So I give her a lot of credit. That's a tough thing to do, even for the most experienced actor. So
yeah, absolutely. And like that was the thing, like Rebecca Hall was in it. Was it Alexander Skarsgård, right?
Yeah. Same name as me.
Yes. That made it much easier. And then of course Julian Dennison, who's great in Hunt for the Wilder People, in his subplot with, as we stated earlier, he was just, I felt like him and Brian Tyree Henry kind of cancel each other out, and it's just, there's no need for them to be together. But I think another thing about the movie that we can all agree on is the fact that the script, obviously if you're going into Godzilla versus Kong, hoping to find some theological discussion about how we are as society are monsters, you came to the wrong movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the original Godzilla was a whole statement on nuclear warfare and all that, and the original Kong is just a classic for so many different reasons. But this, go into it thinking that you're going to a blockbuster with little to no, there's no morals really in this, it's just destruction and fighting. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
But
it's fun, but yeah, there's no rules or anything in here. Lessons. It's just fighting, as I said before.
Something I appreciate that this movie did, opposed to like Skull Island and the Godzilla movies, is that they made Kong an actual character.
Yeah.
They gave him a story arc. Like Godzilla is just a giant monster that destroys stuff and beats things up. Kong had an actual story here where he actually had kind of like I don't even know, like a redemption character arc, I'm going to put it loosely. But I liked a lot because he was the best character in the whole movie of A-listers. You got Kyle Chandler, who had about 3 to 4 lines, the briefest appearance in a movie I've ever seen. I think he was literally there just to record some trailer lines that we heard a million times before this movie was coming out. Like, The World Needs Kong, or I don't even know if he said that, but The World Needs Kong was something I heard a million times before this movie came out. Became a meme.
No, I mean, I agree with a lot of your points. I think the whole thing about these characters is just they're all very shallow. There's nothing to them. You just go to see the two monsters fight. And I think the fact that I hardly cared about that just showed you how the script was. It was manufactured to get to point A to point B. It was a project. Yeah, and obviously, like I don't think that really works for a movie. But I would say, I mean, it kind of moved by pretty briskly, but I just didn't care.
I didn't care. Why even have the humans in the movie? You know, why even have them here if it's just going to drag down the movie? Make the movie shorter and just have them fight the whole time.
No, I agree. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, like focus on a human in the city that they're fighting in, trying to get out or something. If you were going to put a human in it, we don't need this whole nonsensical, non-believable, dumb plot. Two subplots of two groups of characters that never interact. We don't need it.
And then I'll say this real quick before we go. Damian Bashir was like literally the most wasted character in the entire movie. It's like he almost didn't have to be in there, like at all. Well, I mean that could go for most of these characters. But anyway, before we give you guys our final thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong, we want to leave you with a little trivia. In what year did Godzilla and Kong first face off? Find out after the break, right here on The Real Deal.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit. I get it. I can do better. Just please don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. Now, we asked you before the break, what year did the two monsters first face off in? The answer is 1962 in King Kong vs. Godzilla, directed by Ishiro Honda. the director of the original Godzilla film.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say about this movie, obviously I wasn't expecting much from Godzilla vs. Kong, except for the monster-on-monster action that was promised. However, the shallow story and hardly any characters to back it up kind of hinder it. I mean, the action was nothing I really cared for except for a few standout moments. And of course, it's not objectively a bad movie per se, from a technical standpoint, but an incredibly lackluster one at that. And honestly, I just thought it was so dumb. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10.
The lowest movie so far.
So I didn't like it.
No, that's fair. For me, I mean, as I was saying before, while this film is no work of art, if you take it for what it is, it's a fun ride. It's not too long. It's just an hour and 53 minutes. The human stuff is laughable at times, as we stated, but the main fight that the movie advertises itself around kicks butt. This is more of a Kong movie, so I have some bias towards the giant monkey. I'm a huge fan of King Kong, so I'm glad he got a lot of stuff revolving around him. It's far from amazing, as I've stated as well, but there are great moments that highlight the larger-than-life monsters that are featured within the story. And although the 33 Kong and the 54 Godzilla reign supreme in terms of their cultural significance, Godzilla vs. Kong gives viewers what they've always wanted. The two titans fighting it out, their legacies of dominance. Although they fought before, this is the modern, revision of it. So I would give it a 6 out of 10. So still not great, but more generous than Nathaniel over here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong, it's a mess. But it's a fun mess at times. It's almost laughable at some parts. If you're going into this movie expecting top-tier writing and human development of characters and some emotional stuff from them, you're going to be disappointed. But I don't know why you would go into this movie expecting that. If you're expecting two skyscraper titans fighting each other, then you may actually be entertained at some parts where that's actually happening. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10, which it just wasn't that enjoyable for me.
It's mediocre.
Yeah, it's fairly mediocre.
Yeah.
And then I think that's a very good score. And so now that that's out of the way, our movie for next week will be Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk. What are you guys anticipating from this?
I feel like I'm unlike most. I'm more anticipated for this than Mortal Kombat and Kong vs. Kong for whatever reason. I just love Bob Odenkirk, although he's mostly a comedy actor. Ever since I found out about him through Breaking Bad many years ago, just all the talent there. And him as John Wick, that's what this movie really is. I really can't wait to see that. Bob Odenkirk, Saul Goodman, just being amazing with a gun and just an action star, that's something I've always wanted to see. I never asked for it, but I'm not going to say no to that.
Yes, we get to see Saul Goodman duke it out against all these other criminals.
I'm excited.
I have a trailer for this, so I can't really say, but I've been hearing good things. So I said, why not? Let's watch it for the show.
We'll take a risk.
I really like Bob Odenkirk. He's a great actor. Definitely a weird placement for him. And if it's just a John Wick clone, I'm going to call it out for that, because if you're just going to copy a movie, then why even make the movie?
Well,
but listen, we got to see it. But as of from what I've seen from trailers, it just looks like John Wick with Bob Odenkirk. I hope the action scenes are up to that par, because if they are, it's going to be a good movie.
No, it's all about execution, because you can do that. Not to get too on a separate tangent here, but Palm Springs.
I was just thinking that.
It's one of my favorite movies from 2020.
That's derivative of Groundhog Day and many other movies.
And unpopular opinion, perhaps, but I like it just as much. So, it's all about the writing. So I guess we'll just have to see kind of where this movie takes us.
There are many things. I'm not going to go too far. Just there's a lot of things in art that are derivative, but if the execution is good, that's all that matters. We'll find out with Nobody. We'll find out.
And and there's still it's just nice to be able to, because at least for these past few movies, I think, we've been on HBO Max, or at least, I think we all watch them on HBO Max, right?
I saw Godzilla on Max,
Yeah, so it's going to be nice once again to kind of get back into the theater.
Well, we saw Riot together, but Nobody's going to be, I guarantee, a better theater experience.
Of course, especially with the action and stuff. So very much
I'll probably join you guys on that one.
Sounds good.
Please do.
We'll figure out a date.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of The Real Deal. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Real Deal WTOP for all the latest updates, and follow us on our other socials down below. Check it out. We hope to see you all next week. Have a great night, and as always, keep it real.